In Finn's office, he accuses Poppy of having known all along that he was Luna's father. She maintains she wasn't sure. Finn exclaims, "Luna is my daughter. She's my daughter." He knows she didn't want him to do the test. "Tell me the truth. You've known all along and you kept it from me all this time. I'm Luna's father." At Bill's apartment, Luna walks over and picks up a framed photo of Will. After fetching herself a snack and grumbling about eating her feelings, she hears Will and Electra conversing at the door. She skedaddles as they walk inside. Electra tells Will the grounds are beautiful and big. Will shouts out for his dad while Luna peeps out from behind a wall. In the design office, Steffy tells Zende he's doing some of his best work. They discuss of biding their time until Hope and Carter's rule comes to an end. He's sure if she has her way that will be shortly. Steffy replies, "Not soon enough." Zende assumes she's being proactive. Steffy feels the components are in place, it just has to play out. He asks whether she set them an impediment. She claims it's more like a wrecking ball. Zende will be pleased to see their reign come to an end. He's been sorry to see what happened to Carter. He asks how intricate her plan is, and Steffy will only state she's giving Hope a taste of her own medicine. It's not terribly difficult, just effective. Zende learns she's taken matters into her own hands, with the support of a beloved friend. In the main office, Hope tells Daphne and Carter, "It smells intoxicating in here." Daphne says it's intoxicating and intimate. Hope muses, "Intimate? What did I just walk in on?" Carter smiles uncomfortably. Daphne says Carter had to experience the fragrances as the skin warms them. Hope decides to weigh in at Carter's behest and sniff Daphne's neck. They agree on the same one and Hope informs him, "We are always so in sync," Daphne observes, as Carter tells Hope, "I know what you like and your opinion matters a great deal to me." Hope talks about the launch and linking it into the bedroom line. Daphne commented on them spreading into other markets quickly. Carter talks about dreaming big. It's good to have someone who sees that vision by his side. At Bill's apartment, Will tells Electra that his dad isn't around, but he seems to have cooked himself something to eat in the kitchen, which is weird. They sit, and Electra asks whether he believes something is going on. Will shrugs. "I don't know. Maybe he's working on a top-secret project." Luna grins from the upstairs landing. In Finn's office, Poppy tells him what they shared was special and lovely. Finn questioned her over and over again if the kid could be his, and she insisted it was impossible. Poppy argues the test must be a false positive. Finn brings out the second test and reiterates that Luna is his daughter. "But you already knew that, didn't you?" In the design office, Steffy compliments Zende's work again. He feels it's a shame they'll never go into production. Steffy says they might, just not for Hope for the future. Daphne knocks, and comes in and Steffy introduces him to Zende, who tells her she's alluring. He takes off and Daphne tells her pal the Forrester men never disappoint. Steffy asks for an update and Daphne says she's been with Hope and Carter. She's starting to understand how deeply linked they are. She promises Steffy she will still implement her plan, but they're like two peas in a pod. Steffy responds, "More like two thieves." She believes the strategy may not be as straightforward as she anticipated. They need to take a different technique. It might be preferable to talk to his conscience and encourage him to recognize he's being used by Hope. In the main office, Hope and Carter marvel about Daphne Rose landing into their laps. The universe is on their side. They kiss. Hope gushes about Carter making the company bigger and better than it was previously. It's all thanks to the man in her arms. They make out, but as they hug, Carter frowns. At Bill's apartment, Luna grins and listens as Will tells Electra his dad is behaving reclusive, like he doesn't want anyone around. Him not going inside Spencer is a massive red flag. He feels he's still grappling with what went on. Bill imagined he had a daughter, and he knows he got attached to her. All was a big blow when all broke apart, and he found out Luna Nozawa wasn't his daughter after all. Electra wonders, where's Luna now? Will says, in prison. In his office, Finn informs Poppy that paternity tests don't lie. She must have known. Don't lie to me. Not again. Poppy insists she didn't know. Finn fumes. But you suspected. Poppy didn't want to believe it and couldn't. Let it be real. Finn claims it is true. We have a daughter. I'm Luna's father. Poppy tells him she's sincerely sorry. He says, for what? Trying to protect me? Finn paced his office like a caged animal, his mind ablaze with a whirlwind of emotions. The betrayal felt like a physical weight pressing down on his chest. He thought about every moment he could have had with Luna. Every birthday, every scraped knee, every milestone of her life. And it had all been stolen from him. Poppy, he said, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and anguish. You didn't just lie to me, you lied to Luna. You took away her right to know her father. Poppy's face was pale, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I didn't know what else to do, Finn. You were so young. We were so young. If people found out... Found out. What? Finn snapped, cutting her off. That we were human, that we made a mistake. You let your fear control you, Poppy. And now my daughter has suffered for it. Poppy opened her mouth to respond, but Finn held up a hand. Save it, he said coldly. I need time to think. At Bill's estate, Luna couldn't suppress the sly smile tugging at her lips as she listened to Will and Electra. The thought of Will's quiet admiration warmed her heart. But the reminder of her current situation, hiding out in the house, of a man who had once believed she was his daughter, quickly doused the flicker of joy. She couldn't stay here forever. Luna knew that. But where could she go? She had no allies, no resources. And yet, a tiny rebellious part of her whispered that she could use this to her advantage. If Will liked her, even just a little, maybe she could convince him to help her. Maybe he could be her way out. As she slipped away from her hiding spot, Luna's mind began to churn with plans. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, Steffi was pulling strings of her own. She had spent weeks planting seeds of doubt in Carter's mind, and now it was time to see if they would bear fruit. Carter, she said, her voice as smooth as silk. I know you think you're doing the right thing, but deep down, you must. See what's happening? Hope isn't in this for the company, she's in this for herself. Carter stiffened. Steffi, I've made my choices. I'm not going to apologize for them. I'm not asking you to apologize, Steffi replied, her tone softening. I'm asking you to think. Think about the person you used to be. The person who valued loyalty, integrity, family. Are you really willing to throw all of that away for someone who's using you? Carter hesitated, and Steffi knew she had struck a nerve. As the days passed, Finn couldn't shake the anger and sadness that Poppy's revelation had brought. But amidst the chaos of his emotions, one thought stood out. He needed to find Luna. He needed to tell her the truth. Using every connection he had, Finn began to dig into Luna's case. He read every report, every transcript, every piece of evidence he could get his hands on, and the more he read, the more his heart ached. Luna wasn't just a troubled young woman. She was a broken one. And now, more than ever, he felt the weight of his responsibility as her father. Chapter 5. Secrets and lies. Back at Bill's estate, Luna was beginning to put her plan into action. She had overheard enough to know that Will was still processing his feelings about her. And so one evening, when Will was alone, Luna revealed herself. "Will," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Will spun around, his eyes widening, in shock. "Luna, what are you doing here?" "I need your help," she said urgently. "Please just hear me out." In Finn's office, the confrontation with Poppy escalated. "You don't get to decide what's best for me, Poppy," Finn said, his voice low and dangerous. "Not when it means lying to me. Not when it means robbing me of my child." Poppy was silent, tears streaming down her face. She had no defense left. Finn stood, his fists clenched. "I don't know how I'm going to fix this," he said, more to himself than to her. "But I will. For Luna's sake, I will." At Forrester, the tension between Steffy and Hope was nearing its breaking point. Steffy's plan to undermine Hope was in full swing, but Hope was proving to be a formidable opponent. The two women clashed in the boardroom, their words cutting like knives. "You think you're so clever, don't you?" Hope sneered. "But this isn't a game, Steffy. This is business, and I'm not going to let you sabotage everything I've worked for." "Worked for?" Steffy shot back. "You didn't work for this, Hope. You stole it. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows it." Finn delved deeper into Luna's case. He began to uncover inconsistencies. Witnesses who had recanted their statements. Evidence that had gone missing. Slowly but surely, a new picture began to emerge. One that suggested Luna might not be as guilty as everyone believed. Fueled by this new information, Finn vowed to do whatever it took to clear his daughter's name. But he knew it wouldn't be easy. There were powerful people who had a vested interest in keeping the truth buried. Ever since The Bold and the Beautiful had Bill start playing house with Luna, we've been, let's say, apprehensive. It just hasn't felt in character for the Machiavellian womanizer that we know, love, and currently barely recognize. But then as he talked and talked and talked about his history with his violent new roommate, it hit us like a ton of bricks. The program is setting up the introduction of his long-lost mother. Thus far, we know virtually little about Bill's mother. She's not Marion Bradley, with whom Bill had twins Caroline and Karen. She's another lady, a drug addict per Bill Jr., and given what little we've been informed, she is still out there someplace. So image his horror if she came up on his doorstep one day, clean and sober and hoping to wipe the slate clean and start afresh. I've always thought it would be interesting to explore Bill's relationship with his mother. Don Diamont tells Soaps.com. She is arguably the woman who shaped him into the man he eventually became. That's true whether she was a part of his life or not. Her absence would have played a part in his development. Bill hasn't always treated women well, and that might be rooted in that past history with his mother, he continues. We know very little about her, There's an expectation that she's deceased, and that's been acknowledged but only in passing. But it's a soap opera, so certainly she may be out there. Ever since The Bold and the Beautiful had Bill start playing house with Luna, we've been, let's say, apprehensive. It just hasn't felt in character for the Machiavellian womanizer that we know, love, and currently barely recognize. But then as he talked and talked and talked about his history with his violent new roommate, it hit us like a ton of bricks. The program is setting up the introduction of his long-lost mother. Thus far, we know virtually little about Bill's mother. She's not Marion Bradley, with whom Bill had twins Caroline and Karen. She's another lady, a drug addict per Bill Jr., and given what little we've been informed, she is still out there someplace. So image his horror if she came up on his doorstep one day, clean and sober and hoping to wipe the slate clean and start afresh. I've always thought it would be interesting to explore Bill's relationship with his mother. Don Diamont tells Soaps.com. She is arguably the woman who shaped him into the man he eventually became. That's true whether she was a part of his life or not. Her absence would have played a part in his development. Bill hasn't always treated women well, and that might be rooted in that past history with his mother. He continues. We know very little about her. There's an expectation that she's deceased, and that's been acknowledged but only in passing. But it's a soap opera, so certainly she may be out there. Ever since The Bold and the Beautiful had Bill start playing house with Luna, we've been, let's say, apprehensive. It just hasn't felt in character for the Machiavellian womanizer that we know, love, and currently barely recognize. But then as he talked and talked and talked about his history with his violent new roommate, it hit us like a ton of bricks. The program is setting up the introduction of his long-lost mother. Thus far, we know virtually little about Bill's mother. She's not Marion Bradley, with whom Bill had twins Caroline and Karen. She's another lady, a drug addict per Bill Jr., and given what little we've been informed, she is still out there someplace. So image his horror if she came up on his doorstep one day, clean and sober and hoping to wipe the slate clean and start afresh. I've always thought it would be interesting to explore Bill's relationship with his mother. Don Diamont tells Soaps.com. She is arguably the woman who shaped him into the man he eventually became. That's true whether she was a part of his life or not. Her absence would have played a part in his development. Bill hasn't always treated women well, and that might be rooted in that past history with his mother. He continues. We know very little about her. There's an expectation that she's deceased, and that's been acknowledged but only in passing. But it's a soap opera, so certainly she may be out there.